part one, we got really real. Welcome to my world. When you work with me, I'm like, let's get real. No time for fluff, no time for beating around the bush. Let's find our true objective. And if you missed that video, go back a video and check that one out. But here's where we're going to move in the content growth framework into defining what we need to do. So in the first video, we walked away with a timeline and a gap that we needed to fill between the kind of business that we want or the objective we're trying to hit and our customer client audience expectations. What we're selling, what they're buying, what they're willing to buy, and what we're willing to offer. This always comes back to the next question being like, oh my gosh, is this going to be possible, right? Can I actually hit my goal? Well, here's where you need to start defining your audience, okay? The first part is really, if I can be bold, the first part about this is really about your business, okay? So here is like you. This is about them. This is where we are right now, okay? You and them. Your content strategy, I'm even gonna use another color. Your content strategy needs to build a bridge, okay? This is where your content strategy lives. It builds a bridge between what you want and what they want. And I want you to be clear, this is a two-way street, okay? The traffic is flowing in both directions. So how do we do this? First question you need to ask yourself here is, who do I currently have? Okay, what is my current, I'm gonna switch colors again. I gotta get my purple marker over here. What is my current audience, okay? Current audience. And when I say audience, this can, I mean followers or social media. Like I use the term audience because I'm a producer, clients, customers, whatever, okay? So this is the people who are on your email list, who are on your Instagram, who are on your Facebook groups. What is the size of your current audience, okay? The next thing you need to ask yourself before jumping into creating your content strategy is the percentage, can you see that? Probably not. Anyway, that's a percentage sign. The percentage of your audience that is rented versus owned. Okay? This is really important. This is really important because you're going to base your projections for sales, your projections for content, your conversion projections, your warming, your nurturing on your owned audience. Anything that comes through a rented audience is like gravy. It's like a cherry on top. So yeah, you do want a rented audience. Absolutely. Like who wants to eat turkey without gravy, right? Everybody wants the gravy, but you need the turkey to make the gravy go. Otherwise it's just weird, right? Okay. So you want to look at the percentage of your rented audience versus your owned audience. What is a rented audience? A rented audience is the audience I'm using right now, Instagram. A rented audience is anything that you are putting onto a platform that you don't own the full relationship with the viewer or the audience. Social media, rented audience. Not rented, an owned audience. Podcasting, emails, and to a certain extent, I sometimes say LinkedIn because LinkedIn kind of blends the two. It's a bit of a lease to own, okay? LinkedIn kind of resides in the middle. There's a bunch of other examples of owning your audience, but you want to look at the percentage of your audience that is rented versus owned. When we get further into planning, I'll explain this more, but it's because your rental audience is going to be more subject to fluctuations that are out of your control. We want to hedge against that because your content's job is to, and it is a job, your content has a job. Its job is to help you develop your business consistently. Okay, you want to focus on that monthly recurring revenue. You don't want it to be up and down and up and down and up and down. You want it to have consistency. So this is why we're going to base all of our projections on the percentage of owned audience, and anything coming from a rented audience is going to be gravy. Okay, so here's your questions. Your current size of your audience. If it feels small or If you don't have an owned audience, that's where you need to start. Okay? You're already starting to develop what's going to need to be done in order to activate a true content strategy. The next question, though, when you're defining your audience's needs is, what is the market demand? And a lot of folks who I work with and I love and love and love, they'll call this like, how much nurturing have you done? How much feedback have you gotten? How much testing have you done? Best way I can explain this is, if your current audience, rented or owned, is full of people who don't care about your product, then your market demand is low, and you need to create space and time to build market demand into your strategy. This is why I say the timeline is important. So if you have no market demand, but you have said you want to fill a gap of $10,000 a month in the next 30 days, you probably have another think coming, right? Because that's really unlikely to happen. So once you have assessed this, go back and look at your timeline and maybe adjust and say, wow, you know what? Over the next 90 days, instead of my objective being to hit the 10,000, my objective should actually be to balance my ratio of rented to owned audience. Why? Because in the following 90 days, I'll be way more likely to hit my goal because I will have created more market demand. Wouldn't you rather hit your goal, 3 months later, but actually hit it, than goal for something in a short amount of time and never get there or get burnt out? Listen, this is what's happening with people who are jumping into content plans, stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting without having a fulsome view of what they're actually engaged in. Your content plan should feel amazing. It should feel like this beautiful flow between you, your business, and your clients. But it needs to serve everyone, okay? And the best way for it to serve everyone is to make sure you're finding what it needs to do and then defining the full parameters, all right? So I know that this is a lot of whoa, okay, for the first bit of the training, but this is the key stuff that if you're not doing in your business, you need to stop. You need to do it right now. You need to let me know how it's going. You can drop a comment. You can DM me. You can do any of the above. You can email us at team@erintrafford.com. But this is what needs to happen before we get into any sort of planning. All right? So that's phase 1 of the content growth framework. We are going to move on to phase 2 in the next video.